Meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Young lady, off you go.
Okay, first is reopening appeal number 2018-046, Frank Galuzzo, 29 Front Street, South Jamesport, tax map number 692-44.1, RB80 zoning, for variances and or relief from Chapter 301, Section 29A1C, where proposed pool setback is 41.4 feet from the side street line, the minimum required is 60 feet, where the proposed deck setback is 34.42 feet from the side street line, and minimum required is 60 feet. Section 30, where the proposed dwelling side yard setback is 21.67 feet, and minimum required is 30 feet. Where the proposed dwelling combined side yard is 46.67 feet, and minimum required is 65 feet. Where the proposed dwelling side yard abutting side street setback is 25 feet, and minimum required is 60 feet.
Just raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, first off, we have to reopen this, right, Leroy?
I think
It
we
was
did already.
reopened.
Oh, we did it last week?
Yeah.
Okay, you have the floor. Just state your name and your address.
Frank Galuzzo, owner of 29 Front Street in South Jamesport.
Okay.
3 years, after 3 years of this project, I filed for certificate of occupancy, and apparently something came up. Came up that the original, the site plan showed a frame roof, but there's a deck on top of the frame roof.
Got it.
So on October 5th, I sent Ms. Collins documents to be reviewed. I sent her 5 pages of set of plans that shows a second floor deck filed with the building department that was denied and then later approved by ZBA. A letter explaining 2 situations at hand to get my CO. A letter from the architect explaining the wording on the site plan is a frame roof. A letter of denial so I can go to the ZBA. A letter of approval after the ZBA approved the relief showing a proposed second floor deck. I guess you guys have all that information, correct?
We have it.
So, as far as the explanation, the only thing I can do is just read the letter of my explanation, which you have already, if you want me to go over it.
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
I think we fully understand what has happened here, and that's why we had agreed to even reopen the case instead of you making you refile.
Thank you.
So, seeing that, and I see that there is a side yard setback that has to be amended, that's probably the basic thing that needs to be done. And that would be the proposed deck, which was approved for 34.42, but it turned out to be 33.93.
Yeah, they built it 5 3/4 inches closer to the
Right,
property line.
right. Okay, so,
Contractors, what can I tell you? I don't know.
all right.
But it's, Ms. Collins told me it was minimal, but, it's still closer than it should have been. But, as I understand it, any wood deck that's attached to a dwelling should have the same setbacks as the house. So if the house needs a 60-foot setback, the deck should have a 60-foot because if it's attached. Is that correct?
It's irrelevant.
Well, what I'm saying is over here, the original for the building was, you gave me a ZBA approval for 25 feet. So I'm way beyond the 25 feet for the building, but I'm 5 3/4 inches too close.
And this is a common occurrence. These things do happen. These things do happen. People stake the foundations out, and sometimes they're off a couple inches.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And that's why you have to come back, unfortunately. It actually happened to me 30 years ago, and I wasn't happy. But I'm quite sure you'll be happy tonight. So
I
let's get
appreciate
this
it.
resolved.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, would there be anybody else you think wants to speak?
I have nothing else to say. Anybody else to be heard on this matter? No? Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move that the appeal, the amended appeal, that we reopen, be changed for the proposed deck setback from 34.42 to now 33.93, and be approved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Gazillo.
Aye.
Mr. Barnes.
Aye.
Vacant member. Dan
Vacant?
Dan Zawiski.
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the appeal has been granted. You'll get the paperwork in the mail.
Thank you very, very much.
Okay,
I really
sorry if you had to
appreciate it.
come back.
Thank you, that's okay. Thank you very, very much.
Good luck to you.
And we'll be at the beach tomorrow out in front of you. No, only kidding.
No, that's okay, just do me a favor, don't leave any beer bottles and don't throw the asphalt in through.
I don't I just know it's a problem because my sister lives down there, she's always talking about it. Blah, 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 yes, I know. Okay, next. This is yours here.
Okay. Appeal 2021-047, Brett Coons and Anna Burcroft Coons, 265 Washington Avenue, Jamesport, tax map number 600-68326, RB40 zoning, for an interpretation of Chapter 301, Section 3, where commercial mechanical electrical equipment is proposed and only customary household equipment is permitted.
And kindly raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God? State your name and your address, and if you're comfortable putting your mask down, so
Yeah, I'm
they
gonna ask
could
if that's
record.
okay.
Thank you.
My name is Pete D. Pasquale. I'm an architect. I live at 193 Christian Avenue in Stony Brook, New York. I'm here representing the owners, Brett and Anna Coons. I have sort of a number of bullet points, but I'm gonna try and not do the soliloquy thing. So Brett and Anna,
Just try and speak into the microphone as best you can.
sure, you got it. So Brett and Anna live at 265 Washington Avenue, Jamesport, and they bake sourdough bread there. In the town of Riverhead, it's permissible to have a home occupation of home cooking. And Brett and Anna have a home processing license from the state of New York, which allows for certain foods to be made at home for wholesale or retail sale at agricultural farm venues. Bread is one of the things that are allowed, and that's what distinguishes this from being a commercial sort of license. It's this specifically for home bakers. In the RB40 zoning in Riverhead, a home occupation is allowed in an accessory building. And as they applied for a special permit, which is required for a home occupation, it's not a variance, it's just an approval to describe the operation and what happens there. There was a question as to whether the equipment there was allowed. Actually, the application was denied by the planning board, saying that the equipment proposed is not customary household equipment. Now, Brett and Anna only make sourdough bread. It takes a 48-hour process to make sourdough bread. It's an artisanal, small family business. Bakeries don't make sourdough bread. They farm it out to other people because it's too time-consuming for a traditional bakery to do. So what Brett and Anna want to do is they have a barn out on their property, and they want to move their bread baking that they do from their house kitchen to a kitchen in the barn. This home occupation allows them to have their hands literally on the dough for hours at a time while keeping their day jobs and having their kids at home. And so in the equipment schedule that we included for this kitchen is a particular oven, which is an oven designed for home bakers. It is an oven that is, bakeries don't use it because it's too small of a capacity. Bakery ovens, commercial ovens are typically gas powered. They're typically vented. This is electric, and there's no venting requirement. For any kind of home occupation, from dressmaking to millinery to hairdressing, there just are pieces of equipment that I don't know if they would meet customary. There is no definition of customary household equipment, and so as this equipment has all the same parameters in terms of mechanical and electrical as an oven you'd have in any other kitchen, we don't understand why this would not be seen as customary household equipment.
What about the coffee?
So coffee is something that they are not selling wholesale or resale just yet. They are, or rather, they are making home batches with a home roaster, and they do sell that coffee as part of their operation out of their kitchen. But that is not, there is no intention of performing coffee at scale outside of this experimentation. There's no coffee shown on the plans. There's no intent. Brett and Anna, if they were to grow their business and to scale it, it would clearly become a commercial operation. Coffee specifically is not part of what they do and would have to fall within this Article 20C commercial license. And that's why they are avoiding making coffee as part
Yeah,
of their
but
business on the site.
You're just saying it, if it becomes commercial, if they could, and I'm sure they would be successful because the product, they have a good product. What do they have, 20 customers now, something like that, or somewhere around there, 20, 30?
Yeah, I think you guys,
Customers in terms of, that come in.
Well, you'd have to get up to speak, but
Oh,
let
sorry.
him see if he can answer. Well,
yeah, so Brett and Anna, their business started by basically making bread and giving it away to friends and family. And some
Right.
people do continue to pick up at the site.
Yeah, Love
But-
Lane and the,
No, these are friends and family who still continue to come and pick up
Right.
at their house.
but
But
they do deliver to Love Lane.
That's
too,
right, they do
Yeah.
provide
Okay.
wholesale to a few markets.
Okay.
And they also provide bread to like a local bread pantry on a volunteer basis.
It's quite an interesting zoning issue. I'm looking at the house and how the proposed barn in the back, it probably would be difficult to attach the structures. And then you can call it a main dwelling, and then you wouldn't need a special permit. But that doesn't seem to be happening here. I mean, it doesn't look like it can, unless there was a lot of moving around of things. But
And maybe,
regardless, what's in front of us only is what, because you applied for a special permit to the town board. And the town board will determine whether or not that home occupation will be allowed in a separate structure. So the only thing in front of us at the moment is this equipment considered commercial equipment as opposed to residential, normal, everyday equipment?
yeah, so that's right. This was returned to us from the planning department, who said that this equipment did not meet customary household equipment, whereas we don't know what the definition of that is.
Well, let's put it this way, how much sourdough can you bang out with this stuff?
With this piece of equipment versus other
Yeah.
equipment, I would have to let these guys get sworn
Well,
in and
somebody
answer that
step up to the
question.
plate.
Can we vote, or is it just one at a time?
You can certainly get up if you want to put your 2 cents in, please. And if you both raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes.
Good. Just state your names and your addresses, please.
Brett
And if you
Coons-
want to take your mask down so we can hear you, that'd be wonderful.
Brett Coons, 265 Washington Avenue.
Anna Burcroft Coons, 265 Washington Avenue.
Okay. Obviously, you brought product with you.
I wanted to show you what we're baking, just to show you that it takes a lot of time. So this is our bread. It has a wheat stalk scored into the side. This takes 2 days end to end to make, which is characterized by, a flurry of activity and then waiting several hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. So it doesn't scale. It doesn't work well in a bakery. We couldn't it wouldn't keep anyone employed for any period of time because it takes a lot of waiting, which is why it's natural yeast and not active, rapid rise yeast that lets you do something quickly in a couple of hours.
Correct. And also because of our jobs, we do this from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. when the kids are sleeping, and then also from 9 p.m. to like 11 p.m. at night when we can do these things.
God
So even
bless.
our own time doesn't allow us to scale this anymore either. But to your question, you can do 12 breads through that oven. Or you could, like, if you had regular double ovens, you could do 6 breads at a time there as well. So it's, yes, there is a little bit more capacity in there, but it's not a capacity that's going to allow you to operate a bakery with a commercial brick and mortar business and scale that to be a sustainable business model. We enjoy doing this for our neighbors. We actually, as Anna said, we started this because during the pandemic, when we couldn't meet people, we gave them bread to try and make a connection, and then people started asking us to buy it, and that's kind of how it started. It wasn't something that we were like, we love doing this for the community this way, but it wasn't something that we are like trying to scale and make that our living. We want to do this kind of for the community, and because we love making this for people.
Well, the appearance of the plan does look like you're gearing up to increase the size of your business, but I do understand that you do want to live in your house and
Yeah.
have this event going on all the time. But the zoning question or the legal question for us is this considered commercial equipment, period? The town board decides whether or not you have that use, and you're allowed to continue that use. So the question in front of us is this commercial? And this is gonna be, it's gonna be very difficult to look at and say it is or isn't. And it's nothing I don't think we can decide right now or tonight, but I think we have to do a little legal research and see where we are with this. We certainly don't want to set a precedent for others that live in the community in residential areas that you're going to be allowed to have a bakery business. I do understand how you operate. I know you put the bag out in the front, they pull up and take off, and I get all that. And I know that's not a bad idea. I don't think anybody really minds, but I think other people that compete in business, that have businesses on the main roads, they're the ones that are concerned that you're competing with them. How, I don't know, but they're concerned, okay? So, and you know, there's Junda Bakery on the main road. We haven't heard from them. They haven't said anything to us. But those are the things you have to consider when you're dealing with zoning issues. It sounds kind of petty, but it can have a big effect on the community and the business districts as well. So that's where I stand at the moment. More homework for me, but I think our legal counsel is going to have to help us as well. And we don't have legal counsel tonight. So,
I mean, it all sounds great. I mean, I love the idea of family, you know, getting together, making the bread, sharing it with the neighbors. That's really cool. I mean, being a 60s kind of guy myself. Yeah, but, well, anyway, we'll just have to see. I mean, you made your presentation. I certainly like certain aspects of it, but,
I like it, but
yeah.
If I could, just a couple of quick questions. You're putting 200 amp service inside there? This oven draws 100 amp?
It draws 50 amps.
It draws 50. So if you put two ovens in there, you could do basically 4 times the amount that you would do in a regular home double oven.
Correct.
And if you weren't baking sourdough, what I'm trying to get to here is whatever happens in the zoning stays with the property as opposed to follows you and your business. And back to Leroy's point. So I'm just trying to get a feeling for, if you add this service inside there and you would eventually sell it, would the next person be able to come inside there and say, well, I've got 200 amp service, I'm going to put 3 inside of here, I can now put out 6 times the amount of bread, I'm not going to do sour bread, I'm going to do baguettes and things like that with fast rising yeast, and now do we find ourselves with something that's completely different? So I just want to understand what stacks up behind it.
Stacks up behind the 200 amp service.
Yeah, in essence, if you built this, what could that facility really kind of deliver? You're planning on putting 1 oven inside there, gives you that capability, but in theory, you could put in probably 3 ovens, still have enough for the balance of your load inside of there.
Yeah, I mean, Pete can also pipe in here as well. That 200 amp service, obviously, it does the 1 oven. For us to operate the way we like to as well, you do have a mixer and also a refrigerator. For you to be able to then triple the oven, you'd also have to triple or quadruple the refrigerator space and even more. So we're also even kind of minimized by the refrigeration because we cold proof everything. If you try and proof it outside, you have to watch it nonstop 24/7 because it's going to go on to the fast. So like that 200 amp service still has a limit to it because of all the other needs you would need. So you could it would be really limiting to try and put in 3 ovens because then you wouldn't even have space to do the rest of the kind of the stuff in there as well.
And just so I can be clear too,
Yeah.
just so we're technical about the zoning, we're not attempting to become, sorry. There's no attempt to become commercial
Right,
here. There's no, you're allowed to have 200 amps at a house.
Again, I get it,
You know,
and I think
like-
the board
Oh, sure.
gets it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a neat little thing to do, but
Yeah.
we have to look at all aspects of this.
Yeah, I mean, and really, I think the only thing open to interpretation is the definition of customary household equipment. That's the only interpretation we're asking for, because you're allowed, this is not commercial, you're allowed to have a home occupation and an accessory structure
with a special permit
with a special
of the
permit.
town board.
That's right. And,
Yeah, just so
and
people listening
yeah, sure.
know where the path is.
That's right.
Okay,
And I
good.
think that, I don't know if it's correct or not that we were issued a denial as opposed to going before the board for this kind of interpretation. But-
I don't think that under the statute, the town board can interpret that. We would have to do that.
Okay, and that's why, I mean, we're
So
not,
you're in the right
we're not trying to
place.
skirt, we knew that
No,
this
I know that.
interpretation
I know
was
you're
the
not
right
trying
thing to
skirt
do.
anything. I
When
get
you're
it.
baking, you can't skirt any.
You just,
No, and I think that, like, you
You
know,
wanna pass.
there's, yeah,
and we have to keep that balance for
Yeah.
the neighbors and for the residents that live in the RB 40 district, in that zoning district. I mean, they may fear that other things may pop up like this.
yeah. And I think that, you know, a pizza oven is allowed in a house.
Not if you sell pizza to somebody
Well-
else.
If it's part of a home occupation, it is. I mean, if you know, you can have that kind of equipment through home occupation, you can have that kind of equipment on your own. There's, you know, this is a particular circumstance, but it doesn't seem outside of the function of the definition of home occupation.
What's interesting is that if you weren't going for a special permit, and you decided to increase the space in the residence, the main residence, it would be allowed. I don't think anybody would question
Why
it.
would it be any different, though? The zoning says that the home occupation is allowed in an accessory structure, just as it is in the house.
With a special permit of the town board, with a special permit. We will not grant a special permit, the town board does.
Right,
You're only here for us an interpretation on is it
Right.
commercial equipment?
right.
And I think that the planning department's thinking, well, if it doesn't get past us, it doesn't go anywhere. And I wish it wasn't in front of us, because I would like to see it go somewhere, but we're faced with that difficult decision, is this commercial or not?
Yeah, I will, yeah, and I do think that the planning board, they rejected us thinking that this is a commercial operation. It is not asking to be a commercial operation. It is just asking to use this oven as part of a home occupation. It would be different if we were trying to make this a commercial property. That is not what we're trying to do. This
Well,
is very specific
people that
for
are in
this.
government, when they come in with applications, people always say they're only gonna have 2 families living with them, and it turns out to be 4 families. So it's not always turns out to be what we would hope it would be.
Yeah, and, you know, and I believe that the special permit is in place to be familiar with how these
I see the
businesses are run.
sincerity in this application, I just don't know how the town board would feel about it, but again, it's us that has to go through, this.
I do think that if this was a gas-fired oven with venting and functioned as a bakery, that we wouldn't have a leg to stand on. But this is different than that.
I recognize that, and there's gonna be some discussion, so.
All right, give us a chance. I mean, we have a fair understanding of exactly what you want to do. And certainly, I like some aspects of it, but, you know, let's just,
And just a question for my clarification too, knowing that the special permit is related to the home occupation that's happening there, you know, and if they have this oven and run this business in a different way, they would be obliged to run it that way. And that if they grew, they would be breaking an approval, right? So there's
They
like.
would be looking on Main Road.
What? Yeah, no, they would be
For
like,
residents
they would,
in
at that point, they would be, you know, if they overshot the intention or the function, they would be breaking the law. But
It's a
that's-
nice little thing
that's
you're doing,
not-
I get it. I know you don't wanna move on the main road and be on the main road and start making bread and start a bakery. It's a whole different animal. I get that. But we have to try to defend the code the way it was written and what the intention was of the ordinance. So, and we have to interpret whatever the zoning inspector told us. They wrote there and said it doesn't, they think it's commercial. And you're asking for an interpretation, is it commercial or not?
Yeah. Well, the commercial, again, there's no commercial in this zoning district. There's been no request to function commercially. They inserted the commercial language. We're asking for an interpretation of customary household equipment.
okay.
Difficult, it's difficult. I can make arguments on both sides if I had to. Okay?
All right, let's not leave it in the oven too long here.
Okay,
Let's move on.
Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, I don't think there's anybody else wishes to be heard on this. You finished?
Now, please come up and speak.
Okay,
All right, I got it. And I also, there's 6 letters in the file, all part of the record, 5 in support and 1 in opposition, but respectfully, Mr. Chairman, I respectfully request that appeal 2021-047, Brett Coons and Anna Burkhoff Coons, 265 Washington Avenue, Jamesport's SCTM number 600-68-3-26, RB40, zoning for the interpretation of Chapter 301, Section 3, where commercial, mechanical, electrical equipment is proposed and only customary household equipment is permitted, that the decision be reserved.
I second.
Okay. So,
Do you want to set a date for the reserve decision?
yes, it's November 12th,
10th.
10th. Day before Veterans Day, it's a Wednesday.
Yeah, we don't
So-
go on Thursday, that would.
Yeah. So it'll be November 10th.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Good
We'll
luck.
do our best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Good night, thank you for coming.
So, Mr. Barnes,
Aye.
Dan? Aye. Ralph? And I vote aye. So we'll see those folks next meeting.
Right.
Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.